Hi folks, hope all of you are doing fine, and always a pleasure connecting and talking with you about contemporary topics primarily on life and careers. A very interesting development or interesting current affairs news which has happened yesterday from a workplace toxicity point of view. I thought it's very important to share it with you. I'm sure many of you are aware of this particular development, but also what does it speak about toxicity at the workplace, and what does it also speak about what we can call as emotional intelligence or emotional quotient at workplaces, particularly at senior levels. So first I will brief you about what the development has been. This has been with the Indian financial services company called as the Poonawalla Corporation. Poonawalla Corporation is headquartered in North India and primarily based in financial services, multiple aspects of financial services. This company does I think fairly large company. I think they are a 3,000 crore company going by the latest financials. The CTO of this company, of course the name is not very important, but the chief technology officer of this company has resigned from the company's services, primarily on record blaming the CHRO, the head of HR of the company, saying that this person is vindictive and his toxic attitude is not allowing him to continue in the role of a CTO. And this resignation letter is very curtly worded. In fact, this resignation letter is in public domain. I'm also putting up for your own consumption. Of course, a little earlier in the day, I also put up a shorts in this channel displaying the letter fully. But what is very alarming about this factor is, number one, we've also seen an earlier case where a young girl with Ernst & Young in Pune probably lost her life because as a consequence of work pressure and workplace toxicity and things like that. She had subsequently, I think she fell ill and passed away tragically just about 9 months or 10 months into Ernst & Young in Pune. And subsequently there was a huge hue and cry in India, and the debate on toxicity in the workplace in India probably was revived at that point. Till then probably things were brushed in the carpet. People weren't comfortable speaking about workplace toxicity in the open place and things like that. So we were all thinking that workplace toxicity was being addressed at all levels. In fact, I think there is also a news that the government on its part has formed a committee to probably assess the situation in Indian corporates. That's a different story, because we really also don't know how the government authorities can intervene into the functioning of private corporates. So that's a separate story. But despite all the awareness, or despite the kind of limelight on toxicity in the workplace after this Ernst & Young incident, now this has come to light that somebody at a very senior level, imagine both these persons would be probably reporting to the board of the company. If it is a listed company, they must be listing to the board, they must be reporting dually to the managing director as well as to the board of directors. So that is very important to understand. Both these people, the CTO who has quit the company because of the toxic attitude of the CHRO, the head of HR, both of them are at the same level literally, and both of them probably are reporting the board of directors. So if the CTO who has been with the company for a reasonable amount of time has faced this kind of a toxic attitude, or probably misdemeanor, if I can use that word, or probably being ill-treated, I think that is a more appropriate word, because nobody comes out of organizations and says that they were ill-treated. They probably look for sugar-coated words because everybody wants things to be diplomatic. So literally the CTO, despite being at a very senior level in this corporation, in the Poonawalla Corporation, and despite the fact that he was a peer for the CHRO, has been mistreated or ill-treated by somebody as senior as a CHO. Now, first things first, what is alarming is if the person is resigning and he is probably letting out the letter in the media. This letter is viral in the media, in the Indian media. You just have to Google Poonawalla Corporation. You will probably see hundreds and hundreds of news about it, and the copy of that letter, which is very curtly worded. So at that level, are there no mechanisms to redress these kind of grievances at senior levels? Then if that is the case at very senior levels, then what is the fate of thousands and thousands of junior level employees who are slogging it out day in and day out because they of course require a job, and because they need to earn their living, if I can put it that way. So this is a very alarming piece of information. In fact, I would say this is very shocking, because probably if the CTO of that company has used or exhausted all the remedies available for him in that organization, and despite that he is not his issues haven't been addressed by the management of the company, then it very, very clearly speaks about probably a very, very widely prevalent toxic trend in this country. Let us admit it. Maybe we all talk about toxicity in the workplaces just verbatim, and we just orally speak about it, and probably we are all under the impression that it is not going to affect us. Maybe this is just a theoretical discussion. 1 in 100 or 1 in 200 people might suffer these kind of things. But this is a very, very alarming trend. That is number one. And so if this is a dipstick sample of the universe of Indian corporates, then I would say the Indian corporate universe is an extremely toxic workplace. Going by this, that is number one. But number two, more importantly, if you assess the behavior of the CTO, it also speaks about the need for more emotional intelligence if you really look at it, because end of the day, once we work in organizations, there is a need for a certain amount of maturity, there is a need for a certain amount of decorum in behavior, particularly when you quit the organization. Like for example, we have hundreds of YouTube videos where counselors and career coaches advise you that when you quit an organization, probably you shouldn't bite back at the organization, you should blame the organization in public fora, and when you go for the next employment, you probably should sugarcoat the real reasons, even if there is a lot of toxicity, because that is because what happens is the following organization or the prospective employer is also going to judge you as somebody who's got a particular kind of attitude and who doesn't fit in a corporate work environment. So if this challenge is there for even middle and junior employees, then what is the kind of emotional intelligence this very, very senior person, somebody who's at a CTO had, if he cannot handle the kind of pressure, if he cannot handle the kind of toxic environment, if he probably didn't find a proper recourse within the framework of the organization, then probably it also speaks about the want of much more emotional intelligence, particularly in executive hiring. Now imagine if there is an organization which hires people like this, and there is no real issue with the corporate employer. Obviously this person is going to find fault for each and everything, because his emotional intelligence is very, very low, and it is a huge challenge, because psychologically, or if somebody has got a mental framework of being playing a victim, then every organization is going to be a problem for that person, because any organization has one set of people who are you would see, even if you are in your own company, even if it is the best of company, there are one or two people who are complaining constantly about everything. So what is sad is, despite the best of hiring processes, if our corporations in India are going to hire people like this at very, very senior level, then it also probably speaks volumes about what kind of recruitment policies our organizations have, what kind of mature systems and processes are there to hire CHROs, CTOs, and even managing directors of the corporation. Even if you are an entry level and mid level person, they have 10 rounds of interviews, they assess your emotional intelligence, they put you across they put you on to Thomas assessment tests and 10 other tests like that, assess your personality, and then finally, even if you are supremely competent in terms of technical aspects of the job, if you are not emotionally seen as suitable for that particular role, this organization doesn't hire you. Most organizations don't hire you because you probably are seen as a misfit for the culture of the organizations based on the inference from these tests. Now, if that is a kind of yardstick which is laid down in the hiring process for junior and mid level people, then it is rather very, very surprising that the senior level people like this gentleman who is a CTO and whose latest resignation in public, I mean, if these kind of people are going to hire in very, very senior roles, then probably, and assuming that things are not wrong at the Poonawalla Corporation, then actually the blame also squarely falls on the CHRO for not having foolproof systems in hiring people, particularly at senior levels. So, in a nutshell, this development is probably has raised an alarm in a number of ways for Indian companies. Probably most of us, irrespective of our levels in organizations, are deluding ourselves that we have excellent work systems, excellent workplaces. You have this famed great place of work awards. I'm not sure if Poonawalla Corporation also has got some awards for best practices, God only knows. But something like this, if it is happening, and if such a negative vibe is being let out very, very casually by a senior person, then it speaks volumes about the Indian corporate universe. It of course speaks volumes about the Poonawalla Corporation. It will speak volume about any organization where somebody who is very, very senior as a CTO blames the CHRO on public forum and leaks his resignation to the media and walks away from that role. Now, personally, of course, there are going to be huge challenges for the CTO as well as the CHRO in terms of their own corporate future. But of course, the corporate universe is very, very huge, and always there are opportunities for people to move despite whatever shortcomings are there. But I personally feel that this is probably a very, very alarming trend, probably a negative a news with negative connotation for the Indian corporate landscape. Has a lot of negative messages in it, which probably all of us need to put our heads together and see how these things can be addressed. What are your views about this incident, and do you think what this particular CTO did was right? Is it fair for him to leak his letter to the media and probably put the reputation of not just the Poonawalla Corporation but even the CHRO at stake? I mean, these are very, very controversial issues. There is no plain black and white answer, but we're sure this will throw up a lot of debates across the Indian corporate leadership as well as employees at all levels. Thank you. Please leave your comments as to how you view this whole situation. I'll be very, very happy to have your views either way about this. A pleasure talking to you. I will see you soon on another interesting podcast. Thank you. Have a wonderful life and career ahead. Again, thank you.